5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Bennett, and this is the Ramble. We're here tonight. We weren't here last night. I decided I wanted the night off. I just needed it. I need to do the show, and I want to do this show. That's really what it's all about. Okay. Anyway, look, we got a guest, and it's a good guest, and we talked to him earlier today, and we'd like you to hear from him now, ladies and gentlemen. Looky here, who's here? There's been problems out there in the world, and it's called political correctness. And the man who is the expert on political correctness is this man right here. His name is Robert Bobby Slayton. Hello, Bobby.
Hello, Alex. How are you? You know, I woke up this morning, went to the park with my girlfriend. I didn't even do my hair or my makeup, but compared to you, I guess I look pretty good.
Well, yeah. I had to put the hat on quickly. Notice it says 1939. That was the year I was born.
God, wow.
God, isn't that horrible? Anyway, how you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing good. You know, when you called me this morning, you wanted to talk about all this crap going on with comedy, and I'm getting kind of tired of talking about it because, you know, I don't know. I haven't been working a lot. By my own volition. I don't really want to do stand-up too much anymore, but, you know, the comedy clubs aren't really hiring me much anymore. Some of them aren't paying enough, and I just haven't made it to that big, you know, Carnegie Hall, Radio City level of comedy. So, you know, the comedy today, you know, you can ask me about the political correctness, what's going on today, and it's, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I think there's still a lot of people out there. I played a great club in Denver last week, the Comedy Works. I'm going back to the Punchline in San Francisco in a few weeks. And, you know, you got people out there. I don't know if it's the millennials. I don't know if it's, I don't want to blame any specific group of people, the Me Too movement, but people are more on edge than ever. But I think at the same time, there's also a tremendous group of people who still want to see comedy. And they understand it's one of the last bastions of free speech in this country where you can get away with whatever you want and say stuff. Obviously, you can't do it on podcasts anymore because that Shane guy just got kicked off SNL. Mm-hmm. You can't do it on terrestrial radio. You can't do it on satellite radio. There's always watchdog groups, and there's always people who are these arbiters of what is correct, what's not correct, what you can say.
Somebody put it best when they said that if you consider laughter the greatest form of medicine, that really they're not allowing you to write the prescription anymore.
Well, you know, but I think, like I was going to say, I'm not performing as much as I used to, but when I play some of these great clubs and a few theaters, I find that when people come out to see you specifically, they know what they're in for. Mm-hmm. And I also find some people that find it refreshing because everybody's so stifled, not really on comedy stages or radio or television compared to in the workplace. I think people are afraid, and I said this many years ago, people are afraid to tell dirty jokes by the water cooler. I mean, I remember this isn't a new thing. It's just more open now and more in the news now, and because of social media and everybody's got a cell phone and a camera. But I remember what was about 10 years ago that some guy was talking about at the water cooler at work, the episode of Seinfeld the night before. Remember the vulva episode?
Yeah, right.
And basically, I mean, that's network television. I don't know how graphic it got, but there was some woman who was offended at the water cooler about talking about a TV show from the previous evening. So this has been going on for a while. It's just getting a little bit more intense, you know. And I think it kind of started again because of all the social media and everybody. You know, it's happened to restaurants with Yelp. It's happened to one or two people can bring down a whole business, it seems, these days.
Well, here's the problem, Bobby, is that in these cases, Number one, we're going back maybe 10 years, like this guy is Shane, whatever his name was, that got booted from SNL. I think that event took place about, what, 10 years ago or something?
Did it really? I didn't realize how long ago it was. Was
Yeah.
it really that long ago?
Well, that's what I was led to believe. It may not have been, but I heard 10 years. But we do know that there are a lot of other situations that did go on 10 years ago where people are not working now or being held to account for something they said 10 years ago. And I find that horrible because it reminds me of the McCarthy era when they used to say, oh, back in 1935, were you a member of the Communist Party?
Right, exactly. It happened to Biden. It happens to a lot of politicians. You know, they change their tone. They change their opinion on something. Well, I did that 5-10 years ago. I did it 20 years ago. You know, I've changed. And people, not just in comedy, acting, you know.
Here's my main question to you, because I know your act, not by heart any longer, but I used to know it by heart.
A lot of new material, though.
Yeah, you got a lot of new material. We know that, but that's not the point. The point that I'm making here is, do you find now that when you do work and you are on stage, you've started to censor yourself as to what material you use?
Absolutely not. And because I never felt what I did to be really racist or sexist. I mean, yes, there are racial and sexist overtones in some of the jokes. You know, I do like to walk the line, push the boundaries like that guy Shane said, or you do want to shake people up a little bit. But the basic idea of my jokes was, I think that's really funny. That's going to offend somebody. I don't care, but I find it funny. When I was looking at some of those jokes that guy Shane did about the Asians, they weren't particularly funny. They were really nasty. But nasty and funny can go hand in hand. You know, it goes back to.
But you used to do really tons of Chinese stuff. I mean, part of your act was about the Chinese.
Well, you know, that's because when I moved to San Francisco, well over 40 years ago, you know, I was one of the first guys to do Asian driver jokes. And, you know, I'd go on the road and I tried to joke in Columbus, Ohio, but there really weren't that many Asian drivers. Now, I had, about a couple of months ago, I was playing in Atlanta, Georgia. I was in some little town outside of Atlanta, had some of the best Thai food I ever had. Because everybody's everywhere now. You know, immigrants have moved everywhere. Everybody's got Netflix. Everybody's got cable. That's why American comedians do so well overseas, because everybody sees everything everywhere. But back then, I would do the Asian driver jokes because I was living downtown San Francisco, and I said these were people really terrible drivers. But on top of all that, there was another thing going on back then. I remember there was a club doing a black comedy night in Oakland, which was fine. And then because the whole gay movement was starting basically in San Francisco in the 70s, early 80s, there was a gay comedy night. And gay people would make fun of straight people, and black people would make fun of white people. And I said, well, if they can make fun of me, I can make fun of them. And I understand they were pushing back, and I understand all the white privilege crap. That's a whole other conversation. But people found it very offensive, and it was a double standard. Wait, you can make a joke about whitey, but I can't make a joke about black.
I used to say this about Chris Rock. Chris Rock's act was 90%, hey, so white people are this and white people are that. Right. Now, if I did that about black people on stage, I'd never work again.
Yeah, but Chris Rock also started making fun of black people a lot, too. And, you know, niggas like to do this. Niggas like to, by the way, I'm not going to say the N-word. But Chris Rock,
you
he
just
got a lot of
did.
backlash from the black. No,
yeah.
You know the N-word, the C-word? Really, when we can do all the consonants and play Jeopardy here? Okay.
Yeah.
So C-word's cunt, black word's nigger, R is retard, D is dyke. You know, so almost every consonant's been taken already. I'd stick with the vowels, A, E, I, O, U, sometimes Y, depending on the situation. But
I think wasn't it Chappelle in his latest Netflix special said that the gays have used up every piece of the alphabet. We can't use any of it anymore. You know.
Right. I was doing that joke a long time ago. Now Dave's, but I'm not saying he took it, but it's true. Everybody has a different. I got in trouble. Not in trouble, but in San Francisco, I think it was last year. I did a joke, and it wasn't. I never knew the word dyke was offensive.
No, it isn't. But wait a minute. I've asked lesbians, and they say the word dyke is not a negative term.
I've talked to them too, but in the old days, when I was in San Francisco, and I would mention talk about gay people and dykes, I never had any problem. But in San Francisco last year, I said. I'd point out people, what are you guys from out of town? I have an older couple here, some honeymooners, newlyweds. Hey, we got a bachelorette party, a couple of dykes at this table. And the woman went ballistic. because to her, I guess the D word, and she went on Yelp or something. The D word's like the N word or the C word, so that's another word.
You know something? That's strange because, and I'm going to say it again. I was told, this was back when I was in San Francisco, by some lesbians. I said,
Right.
I don't use the word dyke because I think it's a pejorative term. And they said, no, it's not. It's an okay term.
Well, I guess it depends on
The person who's sitting at the table in the front row. That's what it depends on.
I found that unless you're an English guy drinking a beer in a pub, the word cunt is not usually a good word. A bloody cunt is okay if you're sitting with another guy. And
well, no, but I asked, what was his name, the guy who did Live Aid?
Bob Geldof?
Bob Geldof. I had him on the show. And in fact, I even have he did a little voicer for me so I could use it in a promo on the air at Sirius. And I said, the word cunt, I said, I hear it applied in England more to other guys than I ever hear it being applied to women. And he said, yeah, we the word cunt in England is just you're a cunt, you know.
Right.
And so he made a promo that said, Alex Bennett's Bob Geldof, and I just want to say you're a real cunt.
Well, that's why I never wanted to, I moved to England, because if I moved there with my wife and I was mad at her, what do I call her? I don't know what to say, you know?
Yeah.
What do you call her when you're mad at him in England?
Yeah.
There's got to be a word that you should have asked him that. I'll have to call some of my English friends and ask him.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I found that basically, getting back to what you were saying, that, I find that when you play a comedy club, I think a lot of people that come to see you and they know they're in a club, and sometimes they even put a warning out. Bobby Slayton is offensive, and which I find to be kind of silly.
You find that offensive?
No, they put out there so when people go, it is actually interesting. It was happened in Denver last year. I was playing the club, and you get a few politically correct people, sensitive people, college people, millennial people, whatever they are. But the show was going really well, and I always say to the doorman, if anybody walks out during my show, ask them why. I like to know what I did to piss them off. And generally, there's a half a dozen walkouts, and sometimes it's because they got to get home to a babysitter, or they're not feeling well, or they didn't know the show was running so late, or whatever. The old days, we couldn't take the smoke in the club. But I always wonder why somebody's leaving, because people do get offended. But I was playing Denver last year, and the show went fine. And they told me in the middle of the show that two women walked out crying, and I wasn't even talking to them. I made women cry, when they're in the front row, if we're having a little problem, not on purpose, but if they're heckling me, I made them cry. But people in the back of the room that I'm not even talking to directly, I made them cry, and I'm thinking, wow, that's how good I'm getting. Wow. I can make people cry, I'm not even having a conversation with them.
Yeah,
I'm glad I still have that magic touch. But you know what? I never went out of my way to offend people. And
by the way, you don't want to make them cry, because if you make them cry, you lose the audience.
Right, but they were in the back. But look, I've stepped over the line many times. But again, if you walk the line, or whatever you want to call it, working without a net, or you're talking off the top of your head, or you're in a bad mood, or somebody's heckling you, I've said many things that I go, I shouldn't have said that. I went too far. But, in all the years I've done stand-up, I like to think that the good shows and the great shows have certainly outweighed the few mistakes I've made on stage,
Could a guy like Rickles get away with his material today?
It's interesting, because when I talked to you earlier before we did this, I was thinking about that. Rickles was a product of his time. And I saw him a couple of years before he died, and he was still great. But, he was still doing that Asian caricature he did from probably the Korean War, maybe World War II. Oh, somebody got the back. Oh, And the black guy goes, hey, doing that whole Uncle Tom, hey, the black guy, watermelon. Can that, first of all, I don't know if Don came along today, if that's what he would be doing, if that stuff would work. But it's like looking at Lenny Bruce's stuff. We both love Lenny. We both appreciate Lenny. Lenny was a genius. But if you look at a lot of the stuff today, would it be shocking? Would it be funny? And I think these guys would have changed and adapted.
Well, I don't think Lenny today, if he did the same exact material, would be as shocking or as out there compared to anybody else. I mean, you look at a guy like Chappelle, or look at a guy like Bobby Slayton. I saw Lenny Bruce work. In fact, the first time I ever saw people walk out on somebody.
Right. And you got to remember that if Lenny Bruce came along today, or a lot of these guys came along today, When you look at a guy like Dave Chappelle, you look at a guy like Bill Burr, you look at a million comics, they might not be here if it wasn't for, Lenny Bruce and George Carlin and Richard Pryor and even Eddie Murphy.
But what they did was they raised the bar. Okay.
Right.
In other words, and they lowered the expectations of what was proper. But today, I would say that if Lenny Bruce were doing the same material that he did then, and he were up against a Dave Chappelle, they would say Dave Chappelle was the more edgy of the comedians.
Yeah, but it's hard to say that kind of stuff because, again, they're a product of the times. And everything was different back then. It's like, I remember I was playing Caesar's Tahoe one year. They had a comedy club up there. Me and another comedian went to the main room, it's probably back in the 70s or 80s, to see Red Skelton. And Red was doing Clunky Little Hopper, and he was doing all that stuff, and I find none of it funny. My friend found none of it funny, and the audience was laughing because they grew up with Red Skelton. A lot of that stuff is dated. It's not funny anymore if you watch it. But if you grew up with it, then again, Charlie Chaplin, the Marx Brothers, the Honeymooners, still funny. I think a lot of stuff. It depends. If you're from that era, if you grew up with it, it's.
So you're not in any way adapting your material.
No.
To the sensitivities of now. You would still do the same giant Chinese routines, or would they be dated?
Well, I'm playing the San Francisco Punchline in a few weeks, and now I talk about this, that I did all this stuff, but I still do some Asian jokes. I have Asian jokes in my head. I still have gay jokes in my head. What bothers me now is because of, I think when I'm watching, not just Trump, I'm not going to blame him or the white supremacists or the right wing or the people that anti-immigration. There's so much hatred and sexism and racism out there. When I see it, all I'm thinking is, hey, they're taking my act. I did this first. Everybody's stealing my show. Everybody's getting pressed but me. All these white supremacists, they're running people over. Trump is inciting riots. I did this for years.
Do you yell at the TV screen, that's my material?
Yeah. Everybody's stealing my act.
But the thing is, Bobby, there's something to be said, and I've often mentioned this, about intent. Whenever people watched you perform, nobody felt you hated anybody, but that you were just
most people,
but that you were making fun of everybody.
Right.
You were an equal opportunity offender, and
right.
I think that counts for something. Intent is very important to the way in which you say the joke, the way you present it, the way you go after the people in the joke. Right. And your stuff was just so relentless that you made Chinese people funny. Because let's face it, there's something funny about Chinese people. There's something funny about Jewish people. There's something funny about Italian people.
Right.
And we in this country at one time, vaudeville was filled with dialect comics. And
right.
people who would make fun actually of their own people. All right? I mean, look at Stepin Fetchit. I mean, he was a brilliant comic. And the reason he got considered to be a stereotype wasn't because he set the stereotype, because all the other people that came along and tried to imitate him created the stereotype.
Right. Well, Eddie, Rochester on the Jack Benny show, or
Rochester was different. Rochester on the Benny show, because Benny was a very liberal person, was never portrayed really. He was the servant, but he was never kind of portrayed as the servant. Right. He was the observer of this asshole. Okay, and then he was always commenting on it, and the joke was always pulled on Benny. So Rochester was different in that respect.
Well, the vaudeville, because if you could see old kinescopes and listen to old, recordings of the Yiddish theater and vaudeville, and, is some really interesting, very... I can't even do blackface anymore. That was my whole opening. It's been ruined. It works for Jolson, but I try to do it.
Let's just say Bobby Slayton were up for a job at Saturday Night Live. I know that's impossible at your age because it's an ageist program.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
But if you were, do you think they could then go back to your material and say, we can't hire you because look at what you did?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, at your age, you can keep doing it and go, fuck you. It's a little late for me to stop. My entire history is out there,
Right.
So why kill the goose that got the golden egg?
Right. Well, like I said, I'm not working that much anymore. I'm happily semi-retired. So, there's nobody can really hurt
But
me.
wait a minute, how do you feel? How do you say you're semi-retired? How do you feel about that truly? Because I am retired because the business retired me, and there is no radio business out there
Right.
any longer. And I'm upset by that. I would like to be working. How do
You
you
know,
feel about it?
I'd like to be working too, and the business kind of retired me. But at the same time, look, I never had that hit TV show. I've done a lot of little shows, a lot of little parts in movies. But if I was playing theaters and traveling around the country or the world, making as much in a night as I was making in a month playing some horrible comedy club, I basically got burnt out. Uh, like I said, I'm going to San Francisco in a few weeks, one of the few places I still love to work. And I do 1 or 2 morning shows. But, they used to trot you around, get up in the morning, do morning radio, and then do a drive time afternoon, good afternoon Austin, and then come back and do a show, then get up the next morning and do another show. And, fly coach, and the planes get canceled, and, you get some drunk bachelorette party. It's all fine. I got paid very well for this. But after a while, it begins to wear on you. I would come home. I had a wife at the time. I was raising my daughter. When my wife was gone, my daughter grew up, and then I had a sick dog to take care of. I'm out. I got to, So it's like I just like being home in my own house. I wish I could have retired, but again, I'm not fully retired. If you look at my website, BobbySlayton.com, I get a few theaters in Florida in November. I got the Comedy Club in Rochester, New York in November. I got the Punchline. I'm working. And almost as much as I want to, just not making as much as I want to. But what really pisses me off, there's all these clubs that I don't really hear from anymore, and it's not because of the material I do. I don't sell a ton of tickets, and there's a lot of new comedians with Netflix specials that sell more tickets than I do. So it's fine. It's not the club's fault. It's not my fault. So, I'm having a good time cleaning out closets, swimming, and playing my drum.
Have you tried to get a Netflix special?
No, I couldn't care less. You know what the problem is with a Netflix special?
What?
Is that, first of all, to do one, you have to go around to all these clubs and work on the material. And I'm not getting a lot of work in these clubs. And I don't want to work a lot in these clubs. And then to do a Netflix special, if you watch them, these people are playing beautiful theaters. I just watched Bill Burr live at the Albert Hall. I mean, a little bit jealous. Brilliant comic. And they're playing big theaters. I don't think I could sell a big theater. So where am I doing this special? In your living room? So it's like, and on top of all that, when you write...
I got a Netflix special for you right out of that. Bobby Slayton in his living room. And then you get about 20 people in your living room and do your act.
Well, what's the name did that? I love her. I can't remember her name. She did that with her parents. And her parents, oh my God. Yeah, it's been done. But, like I said, when you do a Netflix special, then you have to have another hour of new material. And I just don't feel like writing all this new material. I kind of feel like almost everything
you could burn off a lot of the old material. That's what a lot.
My Showtime special, and I when I did that, God, it's been 6-7 years ago. When I did that special, I forgot what it was called. What was it called? Raging Bully? No, that was my CD. I didn't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
But when I did I'm Born to Be Bobby, because I had a tattooed on my back.
Yeah.
I had the tattoo done. For the opening of the special. But when I did that, I was burning off a lot of material that had my first 3 CDs, and I got dozens of people complaining, oh, he's doing a lot of old material. So I burnt off and did all that stuff. And all the new stuff I seem to come up with is either topical or, other people have done similar things.
Well, people have to realize that when you do a special, like a Netflix special or something like that you are burning off a lot of material you can't really do again because you go to a club and they've heard it already. They want.
Well, I remember one time it was maybe Arsenio Hall or the Johnny Carson show. I did a show, and you do 5 minutes of stand-up, and I went. It was Seattle Improv, and I went on stage and did an hour, and some guy was signing CDs after the show. The guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, you're really good. We did the same material on Arsenio last week." I did 4 or 5 minutes on Arsenio. I just did an hour. So yeah, you certainly can't go back and do that Netflix special. So I don't have the wherewithal or the energy or maybe the talent to do an hour. That's why I watch these guys like Dave Chappelle or Bill Burr or Whitney Cummings. They just did a special last year.
Well,
I'm
there
respecting
was a
you.
period in your life, Bobby, where you were working so much that many times you would say to me, "I just got to get off the road. I can't take this any longer." That you were the epitome of the road comic.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
anybody outside of maybe Jay Leno, although he doesn't do as many, do clubs anymore. But I was the stage time that I had, and it wasn't. Yeah, I remember years ago reading this interview with Ellen DeGeneres, and she said, she goes, maybe before she got her talk show, she goes, yeah, I was on the road for like 7 years and I was burnt out. Well, I was on the road for 40 fucking years, and really burnt out. And I was on the road 5 out of 6 weeks,
Yeah.
and would come home and would feel so bad not seeing my daughter grow up that when I was home, I'd get up every morning at 7 o'clock. I would take her to school. I'd make her lunch. I'd pick her up from school. I'd take her to Disneyland. So it was like nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I was working in
I
a
mean,
coal mine.
it's like the dream of every comic, okay, that I knew who was on the road, because most of them, while they were road comics, were just road comics because they wanted to get somewhere, not because that's how they made their living. You made your living as a road comic.
Yeah,
but that you had the same dream they all had. I want to get a series so I don't have to leave L.A.
Exactly. And I, you know what? And there were a bunch of pilots that I did that just didn't go.
Well, yeah, I thought your best that I saw, because I had to edit your demo reel, was
Right.
you as the Pink Panther, the voice of the Pink Panther.
I'm writing this book that I'm never going to finish, but
Yeah.
that would have been that was great. And CBS did that, and it would have gone.
What it was they did a Roger Rabbit thing in which the Pink Panther was animated, but the rest of it was just the regular world, and the voice of the Pink Panther was Bobby Slayton.
Right. Well, it was funny because it was right after Roger Rabbit, and it was animation, and they'd done that before with Uncle Remus. They did it before with with Sail,
Right.
the thing with Bing Crosby, where they were dancing with the mouse, and it's been done before, but been done a lot. But it was really well done. And when I went to read for the Pink Panther, the voice, they wanted like a James Bond, David Niven, a Sean Connery kind of suave, debonair. And when my agent set me up for it, CBS goes, well, we love Bobby, but he's the last voice we would ever imagine for the Pink Panther. So I guess they went through every actor, every voice actor, every major celebrity, every busboy, every part-time waiter actor, and they couldn't find the voice of the Pink Panther. So they said, oh, what? Bring Bobby in. What the hell? Bring him in. And they said my voice was so wrong for this that they gave it to me because it was exactly, against type, and it made it very funny. My voice
It was the perfect voice for the Pink Panther.
Well, that show would have gone, but they changed. Terry Hatcher was in that. They changed presidents at CBS, and that happened to me a few times, with pilots. But, the other ones I never started, which was great. I never wanted to be Seinfeld. I always wanted to be Jason Alexander or Michael Richards. I go, you know what? That's enough work for me. It's a big enough paycheck. I don't want my name up there. If the show sucks, it ain't me. I'm just a guy helping out. I'm the guy next door, the crazy guy downstairs. I'm the wacky uncle. But I've done enough of those pilots. They just never went. What can I tell you?
Wow. Wow. So seeing yourself in this period of time now where you're semi-retired, does that bother? Does it bother you at all? I mean, really, is there something in you that really,
But you know what? A lot of it is, again, it's, I could write a whole new hour, and where am I going with it?
Well, here's the thing. I don't understand ageism in comedy, and here's why I don't understand it. Because funny is funny. I don't care if you're 90. I don't care if you're 10. Funny is funny.
You don't want to know something? There's a thing in the comedy clubs now, and I'm not going to tell you who started it because I don't know for sure. One of the major club owners, they don't want comics my age playing the clubs because they're trying to bring in millennials and younger people. When young people see an old guy on stage and old people in the audience, they're not going to go back to this place. They want their own club, their own place. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's true. The reason a guy like Louis Black or if it was alive, George Carlin or whatever would still be working was because they were playing theaters and they had a giant audience. The comedy clubs now, a lot of people my age aren't going to comedy clubs. So that's the problem.
Okay, but here's the point. You brought up Louis Black. I was thinking the other day, when's the last time you saw Louis Black do his act on television?
Well, he's on once in a while. He's always popping up on the
He's
talk
on
shows.
once in a while, but not like he was. And I think, I think he's one of the best comics alive. I think you are singularly the most classic, best stand-up comic in the business, period.
Well,
I mean, as a pure stand-up.
There's a lot of guys, a few guys that are better now, but it's fine. I don't need to be the best.
No, I mean,
but,
Chappelle is terrific, and Bill Burr is terrific, and all those guys are terrific. But if I wanted to go to just a classic stand-up comic, you're it. You're the epitome of it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of old guys like you that don't leave their apartment and don't come see me.
Well,
so that's my friends are either dead or in Florida. It happened to the Smothers Brothers. I remember they were telling me that their audience stopped going to Vegas.
Yeah.
Merv Griffin's gone. Mrs. Miller is gone. But David Brenner told me the same thing, that he went from making $75,000 a week to $10,000 a week playing comedy clubs, and he wasn't drawing because his fan base was either dead or moved, like I said, moved away, or they don't want to be in a comedy club with bachelorettes and people on their cell phones and crappy food and DUIs and no place to park. So the days of those big, Vegas-y showrooms are kind of dying.
Yeah.
And it's a younger crowd that's going on now, which is fine. I get it. Yeah. Am I a little angry? No, I don't have time. I got another good 10, 20 years. My girlfriend and I go out for dinner every night, knock off a bottle of wine. As soon as I'm finished with your dumb interview, I'm going to go, work out at my gym. I have a good time being retired.
You have a good life. You've always had a good life, Bobby. I mean, and they've been several different lives too.
Yeah.
Your days as being the family man no longer exists. You're now, back to having a girlfriend and doing that sort of thing.
Right. Well, when my wife died, it's been, it's almost 4 years already. April's going to be 4 years my wife's gone. And, my girlfriend's husband died 5 years ago. I told you that story.
Yeah.
And she lives around the corner from me. I met her at her husband's funeral. I mean, it's an amazing story. And her and I, and then when I see, people I opened up for, Rick Ocasek, I opened for the Cars of the Old Waldorf in San Francisco. And Eddie Money opened for many, many years. And so I see people all around me, not that much older than me, dying.
Yep.
And well, you know what? I can't sit there complaining about fucking show business. I'm not going to let that define me. It gets a little depressing, but I'm still working. And you know what? Woody Allen called me last month. I think I told you. He flew me to Spain to do 2 lines in his latest movie, which might not get released here because of all that trouble he had, but which I think was bullshit, but that's a whole other conversation. But I'm good. You know what? I'm working. I got a couple of other things on HBO coming out that I'm not supposed to talk about till the release. So I'm working. Yeah. I'm keeping busy. So it's fine.
Yeah, well, I think the Woody Allen picture will probably get released here. I mean, I think they've already got a distributor here, so.
Well, hopefully, but again, I have 2 lines in the movie.
There's another sad situation. I mean, we could get into that, but
I don't want to get into it.
That's for another time. I mean, I think what's happened to Woody is horrid.
Well, it's from everything I've read, from everybody I've talked to that knows him, and whatever, you know, I'm sticking up for him. Maybe that's why I'm not working. Me and Scarlett Johansson, it's over for us. Scarlett called me the other day. Bobby, what are we going to do? I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm like the carrier, but I got a girlfriend. I can't help you.
Hey, listen, now that we got the Skype working, we should do this more often. I just love talking to you,
Well, it's not like I'm busy doing anything else.
Yeah.
And I come to New York more often, but my free apartment, which I don't want to get into, that's gone now.
Well,
that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, well, it probably he heard your latest comedy and decided to hang himself. So that's a way we can hint at who that was. But that's another amazing story. But let me call you let me write you in a couple of weeks or text you, and we'll do this again because it's a perfect signal now. Last time we tried to do you on Skype, it was like we were looking at the moon pictures, At
AT&T, now I got Spectrum. Maybe if I give them a plug, they'll give me a few new cable boxes for free or something.
Anyway,
I'll do it anytime you want. Mm-hmm. If you go to you'll see I'm around.
Well, listen, stick around after we stop talking here. I just want to say goodbye to you. And right now, we'll say goodbye to Bobby Slayton. Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, I hope I shed some light on this whole problem. It's just getting so disappointing. Louis C.K., you can't even...
Don't even start me on that one,
And we'll talk about that another time. But apparently, you can't even lock a girl in the hotel room, take off your clothes, and jack off. I guess that's out now. What am I going to do? There's none of that, no blackface. No wonder I can't do another special.
Bobby
Bobby
Slayton, ladies and gentlemen. You can all applaud now.
Okay, thank you.
5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Okay, that's Bobby Slayton, ladies and gentlemen. I always love to talk with Bobby. Now let me do a few things here. I got to open up the Skype line, which I can't open until I'm ready to do the show itself and do the Skype calls, because people have a tendency to call even though they see that I'm not available, that I'm invisible. But I'm not invisible, because you can call even when I'm invisible. Don't you just hate that? Anyway, let me, it says live now. That's because Jack Bishop probably forgot to turn it off. Anyway, it's time now for you to call. Thank you, Bobby. We'll do Bobby again. I love having Bobby on the show. I like Bobby, right? I think it's another feel-free night tonight. Oh. I hate the first ring on this phone because it's so fucking noisy that it's, let's see here. This is Charlie Wallace, so he's already got a place for himself in the, there we go. And there, hello, Charlie.
Hi, Alex.
A different angle on you this evening?
Yeah, because all my furniture, my desk and everything's all packed up.
Oh yeah, you're moving back to Texas.
Yeah.
Tell them why you're moving back to Texas. Well, because you can, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm retired. I don't have a job here, so yeah, I just going back home basically. I spent 44 years in Austin. So,
well, what took you to Arizona of all places?
My girlfriend, her son lived here, and we were both retired, so we decided to move out here to be near him.
Yeah.
And then broke up.
And so you have no reason. You have no reason to be there anymore. And all your friends are probably in.
They're still in Austin.
They're still in Austin. You know, I got to tell you, I think you're making a good move, because I certainly wouldn't want to be living there. I'm sorry. The idea.
Oh, it's wonderful, Mason.
Huh? Let me see here. We got Josh here. Let me see here. Josh Wheeler. Give him a little spot here. Let's see here. Wait a minute. Josh, we need you to turn your camera on.
Yeah, it's coming, I think.
There we go. There's our boy. Yeah, good signal tonight, by the way, Josh.
Oh, good. Hope it stays that way.
Yeah. Anyway, where were we? Oh, so I mean, I think I wrote you and said to you that I felt that it was a pretty. Hello, Jeff. How are you? Everybody's coming back almost into their same places that they were last week. But I think I wrote you and I said that I felt that you were making a good move, because I couldn't see how anybody would want to live in fucking Arizona. And people say, well, do you have Texas that is that much better? Absolutely. I have to say that when I lived in Houston, that was one of the best cities I ever lived in. Okay? So, oh yeah, the people there vote for assholes, but I'm not holding that against them, But I felt it was one of those cities that when I left it, I felt very bad about leaving it, because I left a lot of good friends, a lot of good memories in that town, and Jack Bishop all by himself. So, that was so anyway, so you're when are you moving? When are you doing the big move? Oh look, Jeff's doing a strip. Da 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 da.
Well, my furniture's moving on Friday, but I'm heading out on Monday.
Wait a minute, who's heading out on Friday? Oh, the furniture is heading out on Friday.
Yeah, so I'm doing one of those where I have a relocation cube. I pack all my stuff in the cube. They come in, pick up my stuff, and ship it to Austin, and then I follow in my own car. I don't have to,
Okay, well, how much does that cost? One of those cubes?
Just one of them costs about $750.
And then they charge you for the trip, right?
No, that's the whole charge.
The whole charge? So all
Yeah.
of your apartment, you got into one of those cubes?
Yeah, well, I just had a one-bedroom apartment. Yeah.
Yeah. Me, I'd have to have about 20 of those cubes.
Yeah.
You know.
Just for your DVD collection.
Well,
there.
what happened when we moved in? Marjorie had a what do you call storage locker, and I think she figured she'd unload it and load it in here, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So most of the stuff that was in that storage locker got here. Meanwhile, my storage locker out in California that's being looked at by Damian Chaplin is not nearly empty. So somehow I've got to start emptying that out too. But I don't have any room here for anything because Marjorie has all her stuff here.
Yeah.
So but I mean she had some nice pieces and made for a very nice warm apartment. And she was always been to buying old furniture and old stuff, and it really worked well. And she had a lot of it redone, sofas redone, chaise lounges redone. So, I can't exactly complain about it. But anyway. Huh?
I used to have all kinds of tools and screws and nuts and parts and material and this and that. And you know what? I still have. I can't get rid of it.
Really? Really? Well, I used to have nuts, but she took them. So, but anyway, so we're here tonight. I decided to take last night off. I just have been so fried lately that I just decided, I do 8 hours a week, and Damien does 2, and Jack does 4. So I figured I'm entitled to a day off now and then,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get to the point where I don't like doing this, So today I got an inspiration. I called Bobby and we did an interview with Bobby, and that came off okay. That was good,
Yeah.
And
Did you enjoy doing that?
huh?
Did you enjoy doing
Oh
that?
yeah, well I enjoy talking to my friends.
I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I mean I enjoy talking to Bobby. I enjoy talking to Bubbles. I enjoy talking to Stephen Pearl. I enjoy talking to Durst. I enjoy talking to my ex-wife. Which, by the way, I should mention that this is my. What anniversary would this be? Well, let's see. I was married in 19. When I married Ronnie in 1968, maybe. Does that sound right to me? I don't know. How many years ago would that be? 40?
Be 51.
51?
Yeah. 68.
Well, I think today is like our 51st anniversary or something like that. We were married on the 18th of September. Actually, she wrote me and said, I wish you a happy birthday. And I wrote back to her and I said, but it's not my birthday. She said, but it is our anniversary. Now, I somehow think that after you've divorced a wife, you can forget about when the anniversaries were, right? I mean, there's no big sin. There was a big sin when we were doing our depositions for the case that we're in. And they said, so when did you get married? And I couldn't come up with the date. And the lawyer for the landlord kind of hit my wife in the shoulder and went, just like a man, We don't remember significant dates like that. Women always do.
Yeah.
Marjorie had something marked down. Anniversary, and it was like in, I don't know, July or something like that. And I said, but our anniversary, I know this, our anniversary is in March. And she said, yeah. And I said, I think that's our, right? And she said, yeah. I said, then what's that anniversary? She says, of our first date. You know, I said, do you want to celebrate our first fuck? You know, I mean, what is this? Why do we have to celebrate every single little thing, you know, going on? So anyway, I want to get. I'll tell you, the other thing that was getting to me is that I really would like to get some new callers. Not that you guys aren't terrific and wonderful, but it would be nice if we had more new callers so that, for instance, we didn't just have 3 right now. We didn't have just 3 right now. We had quite a few. And all these people go on the chat room and they talk and they complain about the show and everything else, and they never call it. You know? But if you'd like to call, there are several ways to do it. Let me mention this to you. You can go to gabnet.net. That's our web page, okay? And at gabnet.net, in fact, I could probably show you the page if I went to it. I have to, however, get the let's see here, window capture. Which one is this? I want, let's see here, Google Chrome GabNet. There we go. Okay. All right. So I can show you now where there we go. There's the page. Okay. There's the web page. See, we're even broadcasting on it if you look there. And if you look over on the right-hand side, it says, what is a citizen panel? And it's got a way that you can actually go to GabNet Live. And you can actually click on that little blue square, and if you have your GabNet up, you just click on that, and it will dial the show, okay? And you can talk to us. Or you can use a phone number, which is, hold on a second, let me do this. Let me see, can I bring this up? Nah, I guess it doesn't do it. I don't have enough room. But anyway, it has underneath the GabNet Live down below there a phone number, which if you want to use a phone number, you can use it. But those are all the different ones. So over on the right-hand side, just a whole primer on how to get a hold of us and how to call this program and be part of this program. And then I don't have to sit around complaining that you guys aren't calling, okay? And I would like to see, it's not that I don't like the people we have. I just want more people like the people we have, who are good at talking this over and filling up a full panel every night. Hi, Josh. You're smiling. What are you smiling about?
Oh, I don't have to work today.
You don't have to. You didn't have to work today, or you don't have to work today, meaning you don't have to work tomorrow.
Don't have to work tonight. Don't have to work tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. And why is that?
Well, that's the schedule that we're on. I work, so I work every other weekend, so then we get days off during the week.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But then in the fall, which right now, I move it around a little bit and I don't work Sunday because that's when I praise my religion on Sunday. So,
yes, sir.
And what religion is that?
I go to the church to the NFL. I'm a consecrated member.
Consecrated member of the Church of the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very good.
I'm on the board and everything.
Okay, good.
So, no work today, no work tomorrow.
Yeah. So anyway, nobody's calling, but I just thought maybe if I made the plea, you would, because I still have like three more slots I would like to fill up tonight.
No fill.
No fill tonight, by the way. So that means
Trump is great.
Huh?
Trump is great. Changed my mind.
You changed your mind. The part of Phil is being played tonight by Josh. Yes, Josh. Yes, I understand. Trump is great, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's outstanding.
Is it my imagination, or lately has he been kind of less offensive? Or am I just not watching the news enough?
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, today I think somebody asked about what do they feel about Netanyahu and the fact they might be losing the election over there. I don't know. Has he lost it yet?
Yeah. What became of that? Did he lose?
Well, yes, Jeff.
No one won.
No one won.
No one won.
God, they're lucky in Israel. I wish that would happen here.
Right? Imagine that we have no president.
Yeah, yeah.
So they don't know what the hell to do. And,
You have to get a certain percentage or something, and if you don't get that, you're not president.
and they're both apparently right around, 99% of 50-50. And it's not enough. You've got to
You got to go over the 50.
you got to go over the line, whatever that means.
So, in other words, Netanyahu won in what Trump would consider to be a landslide.
Thank you
The
for
biggest
being
victory
trusted.
ever.
Wow.
Many people say so.
Many
Many,
people.
many
Many
people.
people. Many
Like
people. say-
Obama or whatever.
Oh boy, it's interesting. It's interesting. So anyway, today they asked him about Netanyahu, and he said, "Well, he says I am just a friend of the Israeli people. It's not the prime minister that matters to me." Which is kind of changing his tune, isn't he?
Well,
Yeah. That's the only news I heard today. Otherwise, I paid no attention to the news. What?
I think we're at the point where, for most of us,
Mhm.
we think that Trump doesn't really count anymore. And whatever the hell he wants to say, who gives a shit? It's just too much bullshit anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, he still has this power, and he can really fuck us over.
That's
And-
true.
and he
but we
has.
can't do anything about it.
And we can't do anything about it. You know what he said? He said with this thing with what's his name, the Supreme Court Justice
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, that Kavanaugh should sue for libel, not realizing that Kavanaugh can't sue for shit. That being the public figure he is and the political figure he is, he can't sue anybody for libel. It's impossible. Trump can't sue anybody for libel. President cannot sue people for libel. However, you can't sue him. In other words, if Donald Trump said Alex Bennett rapes little babies, I can't sue him. And if I say he rapes little babies, he can't sue me. That's just the way it is. So all I'm saying is that he says Kavanaugh should sue, and I'm going, I didn't turn the light on tonight. Oh, girlfriend.
No, we're not on the air.
Girlfriend.
No wonder
well,
nobody
we're
called.
not officially on the air, but we are now. There we go. Anyway, where am I? So anyway,
saying Kavanaugh should sue.
yeah. So he can't sue, and Trump should know things like this, but he doesn't know things like this. He doesn't know shit.
He thinks the Justice Department should come to Kavanaugh's aid. He thinks the Justice Department is supposed to be his personal lawyer or anybody that he wants their personal lawyer.
Really?
Instead of the people's lawyer. Yeah, he doesn't understand what the Justice Department is about.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, he said that. He said the Justice Department to defend Kavanaugh.
well, he's got that toady in the Justice Department, who's
Yeah.
doing all his bidding. So
He's got lots of them.
Well,
He's got lots of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but this is all bullshit because Obama got a good deal from Netflix and Michelle wrote a book. And that's bullshit. They got paid.
Wait, what's bullshit?
Bullshit.
Is he complaining about that?
Yeah, he had that big Twitter thing. What was it, yesterday or the day before, where he wanted to stop the investigation into what was, I don't know, whatever the fuck they're looking into now, and instead investigate Obama's shady Netflix deal and Michelle's shady book deal. Look into that.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Follow that money.
What shady Netflix deal?
Fuck, I don't know.
He made a deal with Netflix. How's that shady? They made it public. That wasn't shady.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They said how much it
And
was.
he didn't
They
do
said
it
how.
until after he was out of office.
They said how.
It's
they said-
amazing that the man who made a shit ton of money making a TV show is mad about another guy making a shit ton of money making a fucking TV show. So, maybe that's show business. I don't know anything about it.
What is his hard on for Obama, which is ridiculous. Okay, it supposedly goes back to the correspondence dinner.
Yeah.
And the fact that Obama made fun of him, which is what you do at the correspondence dinner.
That's why you should be there.
And ever since then, he's had this hard on for Obama. And to say that the shady Netflix deal, what shady Netflix deal?
You could probably find the tweets. They were from like a day or two ago. I don't think I could get him on my phone. I might be able to. I don't know, because I have his ass blocked, so I can never see anything that he writes. So I don't know, but it was on the news. They talked about it on, the morning news programs and whatever. And that's his new thing. He wants the Obamas investigated for their, shady business deals or whatever. Fuck, I mean,
Wait a minute, but I don't see. In your wildest imaginations, how the Netflix deal can be shady.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, Donald Trump is just, I think that he has to know in his mind that regardless of what he tells himself, that when they're all dead and gone 30 or 40 years from now, Obama will be remembered quite fondly by people and Donald Trump will not be. And he's a fucking insecure man, that's what it is.
Obama will be remembered more than Trump because Obama is significant in that he was the first black president.
Right.
And so consequently, even if he had been a shitty president, even if he had shady Netflix deals, Obama would still go down in the history books as the first black president. So he will always be remembered. He'll always be a question on a civics test, in high school. Yes, Jeff.
But I think also if you go and take a bunch of kids 20 years from now, they might want to listen to what Obama said because it was very well written and articulate, and it was informative. If you take any of the crap that Trump has said over the last 5 years, he's been, or 4 years, well, it's garbage, trash, garbage.
Well, I can see the question on a history test in high school, like which president said he'd grab women by the pussy? See, that would be the question you would ask.
There you go.
That's what makes him significant. He's the president who would grab women by the pussy. Oh boy, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact wording was of the tweets, but it was one of his. I can't remember if this was 2 days ago or if it was yesterday. I think it was the day before, and it might have been like the evening before that because they talked about maybe the next morning. But he went on one of his, 15, 20-minute tirades where he's firing off, one right after the other. And in the middle of all that, there was 3 or 4 that was basically all about he would like the DOJ to investigate the Obamas.
Well, let me see.
Or maybe he didn't call for the DOJ. Maybe he wanted the media to do it or whatever. But
shady Netflix.
Yeah, he was tweeting about them. So he's back on. He must be off the Clintons for a while, for like the next 15 minutes or whatever, and he's back to the Obamas.
Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Trump suggests investigation into Obama Netflix deal. That's a video. What the former president first lady's deal is worth. And what they say. Donald Trump says, here we go. I want to just find Obama Netflix. What former president? Trump pushes. Okay. All right. Here's the story, folks, as it appears right here on my web screen. See? There it is. Let's see here. Trump pushes for investigation into Barack Obama's ridiculous Netflix deal. okay, and book deal. President Donald Trump wants Democrats to pay less attention to him,
Oh, okay. That's
okay,
what.
to him, and a little more attention to the various deals former President Barack Obama has inked since leaving office. Trump 73 lashed out the House Judiciary Committee in a Twitter spree on Monday, and once again urged them to investigate the book and Netflix deals Obama has signed, both of which are reported to have price tags in the millions. House Judiciary has given up on the Mueller report, sadly for them, after 2 years and $400 million spent. Zero collusion, zero obstruction. Well,
Oh God.
that's not necessarily true. So they say, okay, let's look into everything else and all the deals Trump has ever done in his lifetime, but it doesn't work out that way, he began. I have a better idea. Look into the Obama book deal or the ridiculous Netflix deal. Then look at the deals made by the Democrats in Congress. What is this? The man is rambles and rambles. Oh, here's the actual. Here are the actual tweets. Okay. Let's see. House Judiciary has given up on the Mueller report. Sadly for them, after 2 years. I just read all that. It says, okay, let's look at everything else. The deals that Trump has done over his lifetime. You know something? It wasn't like Trump was this guy who was doing all kinds of things at the time. You know what I'm saying? He came into office pretty broke, and now he's able to make money. He's able to make a decent living. So you hold that against him? You know.
Well, that's the norm, whether you like it or not. And if you don't like it and you want to change it, then fine. But that's the norm. I mean, I don't think that Obama, he hasn't put out his post office memoir yet, has he?
No.
I mean, I didn't think he had.
No.
So it'll be coming out probably another year or 2 years or whatever, and he'll probably get paid like $10 million.
He didn't want. He
something.
probably
That's
does.
the way that it is.
He probably doesn't want to break into the sales of. By the way, Jeff, let's see a little more of your face. You look like Kilroy was here. There we go. Okay, that's.
I brought it with me.
Yeah. So I mean, so they're going to make money after they're out of office. Good for them.
Yeah, I mean that's the way that it. That's just the way that it is, and he will too. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he will make a good deal of money selling his book that he has someone write for him. To his peoples or whatever. They'll pay their $30 for their hardback copy or whatever, I mean, hell, Sarah Palin made a good deal of money. And she never even got elected. So I mean,
Well, hello, Kevin.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everybody.
What does that say? Fuck ALS. Now, you don't have ALS, do you?
No, my best friend just passed away from it, though.
Oh, really? Oh, too bad. Too bad.
Yeah, in July.
Oh, wow.
That's too bad.
By the way, I was got some messages from Phil. His dog has cancer. And he's feeling very bad about it. This is the dog that he rescued, his little rescue dog he found somewhere and gave this wonderful life to. And I really felt bad about it, and he feels horrible about it. He says, I'm just feeling terrible about it. And I wrote him back. I said, losing an animal dying on you is sometimes affects you more than even a close relative in the family. So anyway, I just thought I would pass that along, and we hope that his, I don't know what he's going to do about it. He says he's taking the dog to an oncologist.
Wow.
God, that's very expensive.
That's his little white dog there that he has there?
Yeah, a little white dog. Yeah, the little cute dog.
Yeah.
He says, I don't know if I'll get another one, and I don't blame you. After I lost my last bunch of cats, I think I stopped having pets because it just, it didn't It was at this age. I'm not. They could mourn me because the cats will be around long after I'm gone. You know, but I don't want to get. I decided not to get any more pets after the last batch died, and
Yeah.
you know, yes,
It takes a while. Sometimes you come around, sometimes you don't. It took us 2 years, and then all of a sudden, I guess it probably helped that I had a kid that wanted one, but it took a couple years.
yeah. You felt real bad about it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. How
I
long?
had to literally put one dog to sleep, and that
Yeah.
was the hardest thing I could ever think of doing.
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
put
My
it-
dad couldn't even be there, and I had to be there when it happened, and it's just no fun at all. And then I put two cats to sleep, and it's just no good.
I had to put a cat.
And actually, you think
Yeah.
about it, it's almost they have it better because, you know, I watched my friend die a slow death with ALS,
Mhm.
and he got to the point where he was going to get the pill, and he was up in Oregon, and as a matter of fact, he lived right across from Lake Oswego, where Ronnie is.
Mhm.
And my last time up there to see him, I drove right through Lake Oswego thinking about Ronnie,
Yeah.
and he was actually going to get the pill and going through the whole process of getting that pill
Yeah.
to have it just in case.
You know something?
But
I
you
found
think
out from
about euthanasia
Yeah.
and putting a dog down or a cat down when they're done, and not going through all the pain and all that
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
You
Well,
think about that, and it's not so insane. It's not so crazy.
it's time for me to pull my obligatory joke, which is, of course, that I put my cat down. I told him he was better. The dog was better than he was. So.
Ba-dum, boom, boom.
Ba-dum, boom. Yeah. Anyway, let's see here. We got Tony. Let me see if I can get Tony in here. Come on, Tony. Here we go. Oh, there's Tony. Okay, I didn't even have to do anything. He just popped right up in what we can now call Tony's spot. Yeah. No, I. By the way, with the suicide pill, if you want to call it that, death with dignity pill. It isn't one pill. It's like 50 pills.
Wow.
I was told by Ronnie it's 50 pills.
I don't know for sure, but I know it was a whole process. He had to go through psychological stuff, and he had to go through a month worth of stuff to just get a hold of being able to get it.
Yeah.
And he had full blown ALS. I mean, it was.
Was he kind of have locked in syndrome?
What's that?
Did he have kind of locked in syndrome where he can't communicate and whatever? Or was he? How was
he had Bulbar's disease, which is where you lose your ability to talk.
Okay.
And eat. I was feeding him with a tube.
Okay,
when I
so
was up
slowly everything was shutting down.
Yeah, he couldn't barely move his arms. He could walk and everything, but his in order for him to tell me everything was good, he went like this.
Yeah.
Lifted up his thumb and stuff, but
Oh boy.
and sometimes he'd fall when he was walking, and
I just don't know what I would do in that case. I mean, for instance, I have Ronnie who is dying. Let's be honest about it. It's just she doesn't know when, and neither do any of us. So that's good, But sometimes I wonder. I want to go out. I'd like to go out and see her, but I see her all the time doing Skype, right? So I don't know that I really need to. But I don't deal with things like this very well, and
I don't think anybody does.
in fact,
no, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
in fact, I just
And
had,
I struggle with it too because I wanted to go up there and see him all the time, and I couldn't. But I did whenever I could, and I went up there about every 6 months.
I had somebody.
Each time it was harder and harder,
Yeah.
and leaving was even harder, and we were really, really good friends. And
Yeah, and every time you leave him, that may be the last time you'll see him,
yeah, and
Right.
it was.
and it was. How soon after you saw him the last time did he die?
less than a month.
Wow. And then you have to see people in that shape too. Boy, isn't this an uplifting show, folks? Hi,
Yeah,
how
see
are
what
you,
I'm
everybody?
sorry, I didn't mean to bring the show down.
No, that's okay. No, that's all right, because if you don't, I will. So, you know, it doesn't matter.
I just did it for you, huh?
Yes, Jeff.
So my friend Charlie, he got cancer very quickly and died within maybe 2 months or something like that. But he never told me. He didn't want to tell me.
Oh.
Yeah. And finally, his wife calls me up, and I says, "What's doing?" She goes, "When was the last time you've been over here?" "Oh, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago or so."
Mm-hmm.
She goes, "Well, Charlie's dying." I said, "What?" I had no idea. I says, "Why didn't he tell anybody?" He doesn't want anybody to know. You know?
Was your father that way, Tony?
No.
Well, I can tell you what happened. It's funny you say that because I got to tell you something too.
By the way, you can all tune out now, folks. This is going to be the most depressing rest of the show you've ever heard in your
Actually,
life.
you may laugh about this because
okay.
I thought of you, Alex. You would have liked my dad.
You thought of me? Somebody was dying and you thought of me. Okay, do I look that bad to you?
No. Meaning, like, you had a good sense of humor, like you laugh. But you know what was funny?
Wait a minute. You're freezing up. You got to move your. You got to move. You got to
You're
move.
not exactly making us laugh.
Hold on.
You got to move closer to the Wi-Fi.
Hold on a second.
As soon as he gets close to the Wi-Fi, he doesn't break up. But he never learns this, folks. He just wants to show us that
Here,
shitty
is it any better?
wallpaper. What?
Any better?
Yeah, that's better. You're much better.
Okay. Funny you said that. When we got the bad news, they told me last because that my older brother, and my older sister knew. So they told him, you're dying. So then when we brought him home to die, right? This is Dad, listen. He says, I know this is it. He says, I don't want to see a priest, but bring him over anyway if it help. Whatever. We brought him over. So then what was funny was I can see why Chef's friend might have did that. We couldn't hide my father's death because he had the Alex Trebek. You knew he was dying, Alex. He says, how can we hide it from anybody? Look at me. I can't eat. So I says, Dad, I says,
what did your father have?
He had Trebek's pancreatic.
Oh, he had pancreatic.
Yeah. So
it's not called Trebek's disease yet.
Okay. My mother calls it now. Oh, she says, Alex is living Trebek. I said, I know, Mom. We watch it still. Thank God. But now he's in chemo again, I heard. Yeah. So you know what's funny that I said that? We couldn't hire him. But what was funny was there was cousins. My Aunt Barbara calls and she says, that bitch Carolyn, one of my cousins who she hates, she wants to come see Leo. She's talking to me. She says, did your father want to see him? Because I said we don't let the cunt in, really. She hates us.
Jesus Christ. Your family really talks trash, don't they?
Aunt Barbara has she's still from Brooklyn, I can tell you that. I said, you know what I'll do, Babs? I says, I'll go over to my dad, because he's still coherent, and we'll run it by him. She says, yeah, do that. Give me the phone. I want to hear what he has to say. I put her on speaker. I says, Dad, can you hear me? You know what's going on? He says, yeah, I know what the fuck is going on. I'm not out there yet. Carolyn wants to see you. You know what he says? Over my fucking dead body. She didn't want to see us when we were alive. I don't want to see her now. Right. Don't let her up. I got your answer, mine. Says she ain't coming.
He didn't use. Did he use the word cunt at all? I'm just wondering.
She did. He didn't. He called her a bitch. Yeah. Yeah. It was funny. So actually, you want to laugh? I'm going to tell you something, Alex. My Aunt Barbara was at the table.
By the way, put your face a little. Put your face a little more in the center of the
listen
picture.
To this. I wanted to throw the spaghetti. They came. After the cemetery, we says everybody can go to the restaurant.
I'm sorry. I just wound Tony up, folks. You'll have to excuse me. Okay, go ahead.
You did, but you're gonna find this funny. So everybody after the burial, come to the eatery. We're gonna, we're treating everybody. So of course. The Carolyn, who we don't see in 30 years, and the husband, the loafer, had to come for a lunch that we had to pay for. Do you know they took a fucking doggy bag home? I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I wanted to take the doggy bag and smack it out of her hands.
By the way,
my Aunt Barbara put the evil eye on her ass.
By the way, your picture's frozen, Tony. I don't know why.
Should I move back?
I guess move around somewhere.
Yeah, go back. Well, let me get off the connection. I'll go to a different connection.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway. I'm sorry, Alex. You got me all jazzed up now.
Yeah, I'm sorry I did that. I'm beginning to regret
we couldn't
it.
Hide it because I don't think I would want to tell people to tell you the truth unless I had to.
Yeah. But anyway, your picture's frozen. I have no idea why. So
He's moving on mine.
he's moving on yours, huh?
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, he's not moving on mine. I don't know
Can
why.
you see me now?
Everybody else is fine. Yes, Jeff.
I wanted to change the discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Charlie, or everybody.
Yeah.
What happened with our potential Democrat president, who's winning from New York the other day? Warren.
What happened? I haven't heard anything bad about it.
Elizabeth Warren. What do you mean, Jeff?
Well, you were in New York. What happened in Warren? In New York with Warren?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I don't know. She held a rally in Washington Square. Is all I
Oh,
heard.
you know what? She went on Colbert last night, and he kind of grilled her about the whether we were going to be paying more taxes for the health care, and she wouldn't answer it.
Because it's a fucking bad question.
Well, but she's
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna pay more
Well,
taxes,
Bernie
but
would
you have
answer.
to have all those co-pays and stuff.
But she
Bernie
answered
would
it.
answer it,
paying
though.
as much money.
She answered it. She answered it well once before in the debates, I believe, in which she
Yeah,
was
I
saying,
heard it.
yes, your taxes would go up, but the amount of money you would pay in taxes would not be as much as you're now paying for co-pays and all the things you have to pay for now,
Deductibles.
deductibles and so on. Yeah. And that's the best way to explain it. Of course, yes, taxes will go up, but you will not be paying as much as you have been paying.
Right.
Right?
And that's what you should have done.
Yeah.
I thought she also said the other day when I heard her on the radio or on TV is that that she was trying to add a certain higher percentage for rich, what she calls very, very rich people.
Yeah, yeah.
People who had
2%.
over what? $50 million?
Over $50 million.
And I think that's something we can all agree with, can't we? I mean, after all, if you're making $50 million, you have benefited more than most from this society, and you're just being asked to pay back a little bit. That's all. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a tax on your good fortune. Okay?
And it was like what, 2%
Yeah.
minimum?
2%.
I mean,
Yep.
and most rich people
Charlie, you got it.
Most rich people wouldn't be bothered by it, because their attitude would be, so I got a little less money. How many
Yeah,
millions?
it's a drop in the bucket.
It's a drop in the bucket. But these are the people who've benefited the most from the society, and they should be asked to pay back a little bit. That's all, plain and simple. Yeah. Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, well, I was trying to express that in New York, she had a speech. I think there were 25,000 people came to see her
Yeah, had a good turnout.
on the street, okay, down in the village. And not only that, but at the end, anybody who wanted to get a picture of her, she stood there and waited for I don't know how many people.
4.5 hours, I heard.
Yeah. And she smiled and said hello, and everybody took their picture of her. And amazing.
I think
Now, the other thing
I
is-
think she's got a good shot at the nomination.
I do too. And also she is like on the list. She's just right behind Biden now.
Yeah, seems like she's getting better.
Yeah.
I think
those words
Biden.
night.
I think Biden's place in the polls is because of his recognizability. That if you say Biden to most people in this country, they know who you're talking about. If you say Elizabeth Warren, not as many. Who's she? Yeah.
Which one of those women is that?
So, I mean, Elizabeth Warren has a recognition deficit. But as time goes on and she becomes more popular, I just think what she does in most cases, I'm surprised that she couldn't give Colbert a straight answer, is I've just found that she does have a tendency to explain this stuff very well. So I don't understand why she would dodge that question. So, but anyway.
Did
American
you
Patriot
listen-
says she's the Indian running for president. Fuck you, American Patriot. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going
Yeah.
to put him on timeout here. How do I do that? Let me see here. Put user in timeout. Okay, American Patriot, you're in timeout. So all these other people can have something to say.
Oh, wow.
Did you see that? Are you looking at
Just
it?
boom, boom, boom. SG's
Yeah.
out.
View deleted message, it says here. But on yours, he just disappears, right?
No, I deleted everything he said.
Oh, it deleted
Yeah,
everything he
says
said.
message
Okay.
deleted, message deleted, all of them.
All of them.
I think it's like American Patriot was timed out by Alex Bennett for 300 seconds. How many minutes is that?
5 minutes.
5
5
minutes?
minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
That
You
works.
got a timeout, American Patriot, 5 minutes, okay? But you and American Patriot are the only two that have really been talking here anyway on the chat, so. Now,
Alex and his YouTube communism.
huh? What?
Alex and his YouTube communism.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Anyway, how do you think our president's handling the Iran thing? I think he's being pretty measured. You know.
Yeah.
You know,
He's being Saudi Arabia's bitch.
Well, he's being Saudi Arabia's bitch, but he's also not saying we're going to war. You know.
He's waiting for
only
somebody
because
else
he's
to
waiting
do it
to get
so
the
he can
word
say
from Salman, whatever his name is.
he's waiting for somebody else to do it so he can say he didn't do it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then he's going down and signing the wall.
Boy, I was watching the world's greatest anti-war movie the other day. And you're going to say, what is that? Actually, it turns out that I was watching what I consider to be, after I watched it, the best comedy ever made. Without question. What is that, Alex? Well, let me tell you. Funny you should ask. I was on Turner Classic Movies, and I was watching Duck Soup with the Marx Brothers. Brilliant. Just brilliant. And a brilliant political statement as well. You know, I just love that picture. I found the comedy some of the most perfect comedy ever created in a film. So I made my point. That's all I had to say. All right. and American Patriot, you can't say anything back, okay? For another, 3 minutes or something? I love that power. I like that power. Maybe I'll do that to everybody. You know? It's probably driving American Patriot crazy. When he comes back, he's probably going to call me a communist, in which case I'd give him another 5 minutes out. So.
There you go. Boom.
I learned that a couple of weeks ago that I could do this and do that, and it's such a feeling of power. You want to fuck with me? Okay, I'll fuck with you.
Deleted.
Huh? Yeah, say, oh, I can view the deleted message. You can't do that, right? It just makes him disappear.
No, it just has his name in every message. It says message deleted, which is even better, really.
Does it say deleted by Alex Bennett, or does it just say deleted?
No, it just says deleted.
Oh. Morfave says, bye-bye, SG, you fascist. Who's SG? Candace D says, American Patriot really SG. What? Is American Patriot really SG? Oh, is SG the guy who calls us every now and then?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. He's that guy down there near is he down there by Scott?
Yeah, Scott's friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I mean, SG's okay. Just gets a little obnoxious. That's all. He interrupts the program. Now you're frozen, Kevin.
I'm here.
I know
Maybe
you're there.
I
You're
don't know.
frozen. Is he frozen to the rest of you?
Oh yeah, I can see I'm frozen on YouTube, huh?
Yeah. I don't know.
Must be a YouTube thing.
It's the great gods
Yeah.
of YouTube. Turn off your camera and turn it back on again. Let's see what that does.
Okay, hang on a second here.
Turn off.
I see you moving your face.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's weird because it was doing that to Tony, but
Yeah, but not.
yeah,
to-
I'm
not
off.
To, not,
Now
yeah.
I'm back.
Oh.
Should be turning back on now.
Yeah, now you're okay.
Okay, maybe it's just the YouTube thing.
Or maybe you were just holding still. I don't know.
No, not that long.
So we were talking earlier with Bobby about this. Oh, by the way, it turns out this guy that they banned from Saturday Night Live, they threw off Saturday Night Live, that it happened only a couple of months ago. I thought it happened several years ago.
Yeah, me too.
It only happened a couple of months ago. And it's quite a, I think, I'm bothered by the fact that because I knew comics and I know comedy and I know what comics' minds are like, and they will do anything to make people laugh. And they don't sit around and think about the consequences. They don't think about whether it's in good taste or bad taste. And some comedians will tell you if it's in bad taste, I'm happy somebody thought it was in bad taste.
Yeah.
But they're all out there scrambling for the buck. They're out there scrambling to get gigs. They're scrambling out there to get recognized in the business. And they don't do this in a vacuum. And so they will sometimes take chances on material and not think about what the results would be later on. And this guy, I think, was probably thought he was making some jokes. And he doesn't seem like he's a very funny comic, so I don't know why Lorne Michaels even hired him. But apparently they saw something in him. But, I mean, you hire people to do comedy, you have to expect they're going to have some bad stuff in their background. Okay? And it's like Bobby Slayton, like I was talking to Bobby. If you want to go back and find out if Bobby said anything politically incorrect, well, Kevin, you know Bobby's act, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Do you think we can go back and find stuff he did?
Oh yeah.
What did
And
the
it
guy
was
say?
funny. And it was funny.
Well, I mean, what did the guy say? All I read was the headline. I don't usually care.
It was
about
something
that kind
about
of
the
stuff.
Chinese. I don't know. It didn't look like it was very funny. It didn't look like the guy's a very funny comic.
I mean, did he use like a slur, like an Asian slur or something? I mean,
Well,
Did
he
he-
might have, but the thing that gets me is the thing that they're digging this shit up from how long ago?
Well, this was only a short time ago. This was not like, I thought it was like 10 years ago, and it wasn't. It was just recently. Some podcast he does with a friend, and I don't know. I think he may have used.
I didn't
he
hear much
may
about
have
this
used
guy.
the. Can we say C word?
A chink in the armor.
Which Tony uses constantly to describe a form
I mean,
of cuisine.
Column A, column B. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Didn't you call up Shecky one night and say, "Let's go get some chinks"? Didn't you say that?
I do that all the time. He's got a great Chinese voice. I didn't realize he left. I didn't even realize what I said, but I wouldn't mean anything bad by it. He's got a nice Chinese place there. I said, let's get some chinks. He does have a good place there. That's really good.
Now, the question is, yes, it's a pejorative term, okay? But, and I throw in this big but you didn't say it to be mean.
No, not at all.
You said it as a descriptive phrase, and so should we hold
Yeah.
that against you? If I were Chinese, would I hold that against you?
No, if you called me a guinea, I wouldn't hold it against you. I would actually laugh. I actually have a good sense of humor. I mean, like I would never meet.
Well,
in a mean
then again, nobody calls kosher food kikes.
That's true. Right?
But the reason they don't call it kikes is because the only people that call Chinese food chinks are kikes. So anyway,
but why is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know why people, if it's in the form of comedy, I don't know why it matters. I mean, I don't even really watch comedy or anything, but I mean, I've flipped through and I've seen bits and pieces. And I've never seen a black comic, for example, at least one that wasn't, on something that was edited. I mean, but like, I've never seen a black comic on like HBO programs or whatever who didn't use, the word nigger like 50 times in their stand-up.
Yeah.
I mean, why is that okay? But but if a white comic did it, he'd have to be fired. I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It's
Well,
fucking
I mean,
comedy.
I-
Plus,
Fuck it, turn it off.
the first thing you're looking at is it says comedy on the show or the venue you're going into. You got to expect that. And a black guy calling me a cracker, I couldn't care less.
Right. I mean,
You know what?
That's what I'm saying.
part
I've
of the
seen black,
comedy.
right?
That's
Like
part
I've
of the
seen
comedy.
black comics before in like HBO specials and whatever, making fun of white people, and the audience was overwhelmingly black, and they were laughing, and I'm white, and I was fucking laughing because
I
some
was
of that
laughing
shit's
right
I'll
along
tell you.
with
I'll
him.
tell you.
I mean,
I'll tell you though. I have
If
watched.
a white comic did that, that would be,
Yeah,
you know,
I've watched.
end of his career.
I've watched Chris Rock do his act, in which he goes, and white people do this, and white people do that, and white people do this, and white people do that, and I was offended. And I was offended precisely because if I had done the same material about black people,
That's what I'm saying.
they wouldn't let me on Saturday Night Live, okay? But they let him go on Saturday Night Live doing this material, you know. And I think that, you know, if I can't go around telling jokes about black people, okay, then I don't know that I like the idea that Chris Rock goes around doing. Well, let's go to the only black person that's ever called this program,
Oh,
practically,
Lord.
Charlie.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem, Alex. I think it's got to go both ways, and
Yes.
I would sit there and I would laugh at it too.
How do you feel,
You know,
Charlie?
because you know what?
Yeah,
Us white people, got the same problems everybody else does.
yeah, Charlie.
And I laugh at that shit too,
Charlie?
because we are, you know, the same way. It doesn't matter.
Charlie, how do you feel about it?
As much as I like Richard Pryor, I don't like him using the word nigger.
Okay, all right, okay.
But he's funny as all shit.
Yeah, but how about Chris Rock? Do you think that some of his material is like anti-Caucasian?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. And yet we're supposed to sit there and take it, right?
I think it has something to do with it's all right to whatever criticize upward, but you can't criticize downward.
Maybe. So, like, if slavery hadn't happened, we'd be even. But
Yeah.
because the shit did, we got a couple hundred more years of this shit, right?
Yeah, you know.
I think that's the rationale.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, it looked like who was it that I banned?
Yeah, he's
It's
back.
been 5 minutes.
His detention is over.
Yeah, but I don't see he didn't. American Patriot, right? He's
Yeah, he's
back.
back.
He's back. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he said he was a listener for 50 years, going back to WPLJ.
Really? Is that 50 years? I guess it is 50 years. Yes, Tony.
You know, let me ask you a question. This is funny that you said that. Like, is it almost dangerous now if you're a white comedian, like, to get on stage? I don't imagine if you talk to them and be like, you know what? If I say this, they're going to kill me. If I say this, they're going to kill you with that. So what am I going to use? Well, you got to cut this whole. It's almost like they want to strip you naked, really.
You know who
It's
gets
like-
away with a lot of stuff, though? And I think it's because there's a certain charm he exudes. And so, therefore, he gets away with it, although lately he's gotten some complaints. Dave Chappelle.
Oh, I love Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle seems to get away with some very dangerous material. He did a
What
bit
is-
about Bill Cosby.
Oh, he did.
He does, yeah.
And he said, you know, let's face it, Bill Cosby gave to college educational funds, millions of dollars to educational funds for black students and blah, blah, blah. And he was the first black star of a network comedy show and blah, 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 blah. And he lists all these accomplishments of Bill Cosby and all the things that he's done for the society in giving back, okay? And he said, so doesn't it even out a little bit that you got to take the good with the bad? You know, look at all we got from him. Shouldn't we let him kind of get away with this? You know,
He did put a lot of kids through college. He's right.
and I'm not quoting his material correctly here, but it's that kind of material that Chappelle does, and because he does it in a certain way that's kind of, I have to say, disarming and charming, he gets away with it.
But you're right, though, because if 6 months from now, Bobby Slayton went on stage and did the same exact bit about this Jeffrey Epstein guy, his career would be over that night. When he walked off stage, that'd be the last time he was right. I mean, if 6 months from now he went on and did
the
30 seconds of a 25-minute show about Jeffrey Epstein and a joke that way, he'd be done.
Well, here's what happens with the Jeffrey Epstein thing. As you know, Bobby knew Jeffrey Epstein.
I heard that interview. I couldn't believe that.
In fact,
that was funny.
he used to stay at Epstein's when he was in New York City. He stayed at an apartment house he had, and he had apartments in this apartment house, and he let friends stay there. And he was a fan of Bobby's, and so he said, anytime you're in New York, please come stay. The first thing Bobby said to me when Epstein was arrested, well, there goes my apartment. And I didn't know that was the guy. He always talked about knowing this guy who knew people, and he was introducing him to various people. He introduced him to Woody. I never put the two together until finally he writes me and says, I just lost my place in New York City, And I said, my God, you knew Epstein? He said, yeah, it was Epstein. He said I was talking to him today when we weren't doing the interview, and he said, I didn't know anything about him that way. You would have never known it in the way that I knew him, okay? But the point is that what happens is you really don't want to let people know you knew Epstein, because if you do, they go, well, he was probably supplying you with young girls. That's the immediate thought that people have. And Bobby said, he said, I didn't know any of this was going on. I knew the guy was a little strange. He didn't leave the house much, things like that. He said, but outside of that, when I heard about this, it was the first time I ever realized he was into this kind of shit, So
yeah.
You don't want to admit you know Epstein. And, I mean, obviously, he met Woody through Epstein, who knew him. See, you have to understand, Epstein was the kind of guy that would ingratiate himself to anybody famous. So it's not impossible to believe that he knew Woody Allen, or that he wanted to know Bobby Slayton, or that he met Donald Trump and schmoozed him. Of course, that's what Epstein was all about. That was his life. So, anyway, that's the point. Anybody that was even associated with him is afraid of admitting that, and they shouldn't be afraid to admit it. The fact is, you admit it. I knew Jeffrey Epstein, and I fucked a little girl he knew. No, it's ridiculous, And then they gave. Here's the one I like. What's her name? The actress, Bill Macy's wife.
What's her name?
Felicity Huffman. They gave Felicity Huffman. Are you ready for this? Boy, this is tough. Oh, I don't know how she's going to do it. 14 days in jail, and not just any jail, a federal prison, which is like a country fucking club. You go there. What time does the croquet start? I mean, it's. Why did they give her 14 days? I mean, why didn't you just say, okay, time served or whatever, But 14 days, that's punishment.
Can she get off on good behavior?
That's a chance to get away from. That's a chance to get away from your kids and husband for 14 days.
Yeah.
It's 6 hours.
It's going. She's going to Club Fed.
Vacation.
It's a vacation, yeah. Now, here's what I found out was terrible. When she got there, I think she's already, if I were her, I'd say, let's just go there now and get it over with, okay? But they give her toothpaste. They give her, I think, a sewing kit.
Sewing kit?
They give her toothbrush, because you got to use it for the toothpaste. And then 1 roll of toilet paper for 2 weeks. Do you know any woman who can only use 1 roll of toilet paper for 2 weeks?
My mother goes through like 2 rolls a day, Alex.
Yes, exactly. They use it like it's boom, I mean, it's...
Yeah, like you have to pull it out.
I use it. I'll tell you how I use toilet paper. I'll take 3 pieces, because nobody ever uses 1 sheet of toilet paper. I'm sorry. I know they have the things there, but has anybody here ever used 1 sheet of toilet paper? No. Okay. So if it says
Square.
500
Can you
sheets,
spare a square?
exactly. Can you spare a square? Anyway.
You know what happened, Alex?
Huh?
My mom is blind, so she can't see good. So when she must have put the toilet paper like in her PJs, she walked to her bedroom with a wall, and I saw like it was still attached. And she was taking it from the bathroom. The whole roll was going into her bedroom. I said, "Mom, do you mind?" I had to follow it and rip it off. It's like you got. Oh, I'm sorry, because she can't see sometimes. I said, "What the hell are you doing?"
Wow.
Oh my God, that's why I go through rolls over here.
Yeah. Well, anyway. So I do like maybe three pieces, and I fold them over. All right, and then I you know what you do with toilet paper? Wipe my ass. Okay, and then you of course do what everybody does. You look at it to see how much you manage to gather at that point. And then do I do another piece with it rolling over three pieces? No, I fold that one in half, and then do some more. And then if I can fold it over another half, I do it and fold some more. So really, per ass wipe, I'm good for only 3 squares. Okay.
You're gonna run out.
Do you know any woman who would do that?
Well, she's lucky my mother's not in her cell with her, because she'd be out of it by 3 o'clock.
My ex would go through a roll a day.
I'm up and down the stairs like a jackrabbit. That's why I just bring
Wait a
6 bundles in the back.
Wait, you go through a roll a day, Charlie?
My ex did.
Really?
I can't make 2 weeks. I can go a week on one roll.
I could probably go a week on a roll of toilet paper, maybe. But I couldn't go 2 weeks on a roll of toilet paper. You know. And I mean, and you would think that in a prison, they would just say, look, you get as much toilet paper as you need. Just we give you 1 roll at a time. Let us know when you need another roll. But what do you do if you run out of that roll after the first week? Do you have to sit there and do what a dog does, rub your butt against the ground or something? Why?
She could be shitting on the floor. She's still got a wipe it, though.
Yeah.
What's she gonna do?
But 2 weeks she gets 1 roll.
It's a rash.
And I bet it's that 1 ply shit, that really bad stuff, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's easy to flush though. The 1 ply, I get that sometimes because I don't want them to clog the toilet. But because the 2 ply, sometimes it could get stuck. The way she uses it, I says you gotta flush a few times.
Yeah, well, here I have to sometimes if I dump too much in the toilet, not paper, but just normal material, sometimes it won't all flush.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Yeah.
You know, and then it gets stuck down there. And then you got to go get the plunger.
Oh yeah, I've been there with her.
And you got to do the plunger, and finally it gets down there somehow.
The toilet bowl.
Yeah, some days I'm just good for really basically shitting caulking, you know, and that's it. Yeah. What are we talking about, folks? Well, we have more listeners. Wait a minute. More people listening than we've had all night.
Speaking of shit, how's Trump doing?
What?
How's Trump doing? Speaking of shit, Alex, if she wins, Warren, Phil's gonna probably go crazy.
Well, I think, you know, I keep thinking, does she have a chance against Trump?
I would like to see her be a VP, maybe.
And I'm beginning to think one of my turds in the toilet has a better chance than Trump.
That's true.
You know, I mean, but then again, we wrote him off last time.
I know. He scares me. I think he can win.
But no, he thinks he can get away with anything, and I think the Democrats are afraid of that fact, and I don't think he can. What do you think, Josh?
I think that he thinks that he can, yes, and I think the Democrats are afraid of that. I think they're very afraid of that, and a part of it is a lot of it is right. I mean, the poll numbers keep not looking good for him, but I still worry about it because I just don't see it in terms of at least where I live. Mm-hmm. I don't see anybody backing away from him. If anything, the more trouble that he gets into, the more emboldened they are for him because they think it's all just, you know, made up shit. I mean, they really believe that there's a conspiracy against him or whatever. So, you know, I mean, let me tell you where I live. I mean, you can drive down the streets and it's very common to pass people flying 3x5 Trump 2020 flags where they used to fly the American flag. I mean, that's it's very common in the area that I live. People love him.
Yeah, but I think and it's a matter of the electoral college, but I think
Yeah.
that these candidates, any one of the Democratic candidates, can take some of the area that he did have in the last election, which I think he's going to lose for financial purposes. I think there were two realities. Him saying that the economy is better than it ever has been, which it isn't, but it's certainly doing better than it was, okay, because Obama put it on a good track to getting better, gesundheit. Put it on a good track to get, move forward. But on the other hand, the question is, do some people actually feel that? There's a reality between what he says is and what people feel it is. And I don't think most people feel that they're better off now financially than they were when he took over.
Yeah, I think it just depends where you live, maybe. I mean, because I'm sure there are some neighborhoods, obviously there are, in the country where, you could drive through and it's not like mine at all. It's, in fact, probably the exact opposite. So I just happen to live in a pretty rural area, and that's just kind of the way that it is here. But
you're where again?
It doesn't look good for him in terms of some of the states that he'll need to win overall. The polls aren't looking good. But it's still just so early is my thing, That's just like 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 8 weeks ago, it was, Kamala Harris is the superstar, superstar. She's gonna rock Joe Biden's world. That motherfucker, he's done. This Kamala Harris is gonna
actually Kamala Harris.
Where'd that go?
Well, if we were to make a list of people who should get out of the race, I think Kamala Harris should be one of the first ones, because I think her star is sinking faster and faster and faster. It's not that she's done anything wrong, it's just that she hasn't done anything spectacular lately. Whereas Elizabeth Warren, the one thing Elizabeth Warren has done is she's been consistent in her tenacity, and she hasn't given up, and she's making her points, and she gained me as a fan, and I was kind of on the fence about her, as Charlie probably knows, but as time went on, I went, what I'm seeing I like. I just don't know if she can win. That's the only thing that bothers me, and I don't think Biden can win. I think Biden's too doddering now to win. I think he has some dangerous mental problems when he is saying to an American public and trying to relate to the bottom line American public, and you should turn on your phonograph or whatever the thing was he said.
Yeah.
The phonograph? So the record player, and then he almost said phonograph, and he stopped himself. Record player? How many here have a record player? Would you raise your hand?
I don't know.
You actually have a record player, Charlie?
Yeah, I still have my garage turntable that I bought in 1969.
Mm-hmm. And does it still play?
Yes, it does.
And do you still listen to stuff with it?
Oh yeah. Well, I can't now. It's all packed up and down in the truck. But...
Do you?
Oh, you know what? I still got mine too. Now that I think about it.
Do you hook it up to a giant battery and stick earphones on it and use it as an iPad or something like that, or an iPod?
Got a Pioneer
SX.
All I know is when you're using a term like record player, you're really dating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I don't think that's what any politician can afford to do right now. You have to seem to be modern in your approach to things. I mean, I guess next he's going to let us go get a beer out of the ice box, right?
As a matter of fact, I think didn't somebody do a quick synopsis, I guess, of a bunch of stuff that he did like that, a bunch of things that he said, not like last week or something. I thought somebody put together a string of a bunch of those. Record player, ice box, and went down to the ash can, and threw something out.
I don't know. I up until a few years ago, I mean, I still probably use it occasionally. I've used the term icebox because that was the term my parents used.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, actually, in my last apartment in San Francisco, I actually had what was an icebox. It wasn't being used as an icebox anymore. I used it as a liquor cabinet, but it was still in the wall there, and it still had a place to put the ice. And you know,
Well, some of those places in the city have dumbwaiters too, right?
yeah, yeah. We have. There's a fuse box I have here that probably at one point was what they put the fuse box in used to be a dumbwaiter.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I guess that's how they got their milk or something. You know,
Yeah.
using the dumbwaiter.
I remember where my grandma lived in New York, and the ice guy used to come to deliver every day.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah, and he had those tongs with the ice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Wow, that must have been
Maybe the Milkman Union will support Joe Biden.
Milkman Union.
Yeah, there you go. I remember when milk was delivered onto the front porch.
Do you remember you used to have that little
Glass bottles and the little
do you
round pogs.
Yeah, but do you remember you had that little fan thing? And if it had the different kinds of things you wanted, like milk, chocolate milk, sour
Oh,
cream,
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then you would take those parts of the fan and bring them out and put the other, and then put them in the milk bottle, and then
That was
he
your
would
order.
then. That was your order. Yeah. And I'll tell you what I had delivered to
God.
me in San Francisco until I finally stopped because I was getting too much of it. I subscribed to a service that delivered seltzer.
Oh,
In
geez.
seltzer bottles. They had gone out and found old seltzer bottles and started refilling them, and I would get like 6 at a time, only I couldn't drink them fast enough, and they kept delivering them every week. People in San Francisco called the Seltzer Sisters. But that was good seltzer, you know. I could make myself some egg creams. Now, does anybody know what well, of course, Charlie knows what if Jeff knows what I'm talking about, and
Party animal, you.
and Tony knows what I'm talking about when
Oh,
I
yeah.
say egg cream.
Yeah, I used to get seltzer.
Do you
I
know
used
what
to
I'm
walk down to
talking
the
about,
beach and
Kevin?
drink it.
When I say
Salsa.
egg cream,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
how about Josh? You know what I'm talking about when I say egg cream?
Yeah, I know what it is. It's a drink with 3 ingredients. One of them is seltzer, right? I don't remember the other
Seltzer,
two.
chocolate, the milk.
Yeah.
Chocolate
that
and
say?
milk.
Yeah.
Right. And what it was, the reason it got the name egg cream, there's no egg in it. But kids out in the Brooklyn where it was invented used to say, it used to be called an au creme, and the kids, bastardizing the word, said, let's go get an egg cream. So that's how it became egg cream. A little history for all you people out there who want to know New York history and so on. So. Well, let me throw on the theme here. Let me throw a theme on the fire, and we'll kind of bring this thing to a close. It's been very nice tonight. Been very invigorating, as it were. So maybe I do need to take one night more off a week. I don't know. Jeff, thank you so much. Kevin, as always, fuck ALS. Josh, always good talking to you. Tony, nice having you here. Let's go out and get some chinks. And of course, Charlie, you too. When are you leaving for Texas? Wait a
Monday
minute.
morning.
When?
Monday morning.
Monday morning.
2-day drive.
Okay. And a 2-day drive? Okay. Anyway, hey, everybody, why don't you give a big wave goodbye? I turned the audio down. That's why you couldn't hear him there for a second. Give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a wave goodbye as well to you. Okay, there they go. There's our citizen panel. I'll hang up on them so the Skype lines can be ready and usable for the next program coming up, which happens to be the intersection. Jack Bishop. Okay, I just remembered. Jack Bishop will be doing the intersection. That's next over most of the same station. I'll be back again tomorrow night after Damian Chaplin does his program at 9:30 called The Exchange. I'll see you at 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye, everybody.